first question, what is a deacon?
Oh, permanent deacons in the Roman Catholic Church are one of the three orders of clergy. I think we have the best of worlds in the sense that the deacons can have their own businesses, work in the lay world. They don't reside as a whole in a parish rectory. So as a member of the clergy, we do witness marriages, meaning perform the weddings, baptisms, we preach, and we're a clergyman of the church. Deacons are the one order of the three, deacon, priest, and bishop, that can be married. If they are married at their ordination, obviously they keep their wife, but they have to promise that if their wife dies that they will not remarry. If they're single at ordination, like I was, then I take the same promise of celibacy as a priest would.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now you've had 50 proposals on the bridge?
51 wedding proposals on Proposal Bridge, yes.
Have you performed any of the weddings then?
No, not really. I mean, they're all different denominations, so, you know, I'm just excited that, that it takes place on the bridge.
Do you know how many have said yes?
No, I don't. I mean, a lot of them have, although I think last night one said no.
Oh, oh no.
So that was kind of, it was like, ooh, that's kind of sad, but yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so now what does Christmas mean to you?
Oh, well, of course, it's the great feast, the great celebration of the birth of Christ, but moreover, I think I'm really into Christmas because that seems to be the one time of the year that people seem to put aside some of their differences. It's certainly a time for family and friends to gather. People have a tendency to overlook some of the idiosyncrasies of their friends, and so I have a passion for Christmas.
And that's what you think, what do you think attracts people to the display?
Oh, to this display?
Uh-huh.
Well, certainly the lights. I think the themes are very unique over the past 27 years. Each theme is uniquely different. The light count keeps growing. I've been told that there is a sense of spirituality when people come through here, whether it's a whimsical theme or not. And these are people from all faiths or no faith that have made this comment.
Are you trying to send a message with your display, or?
Oh, of course. There's always that hidden message that you know, there's the real reason for the season.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what are your first memories of Christmas like? I mean, nothing like this.
My first memories would be certainly my mom and Dad and I going out looking for that perfect Christmas tree, and my grandmother setting up her little tiny village that she had with the old antique houses, which date between 1928 and 1930, and I still have those on display in the house.
Wow. What are some of your oldest ornaments?
About 130 years old. They belong to my great-grandmother.
That's amazing.
There's 43 Christmas trees all through the house and all the way back to the chapel.
Oh, okay. So you decorate the whole inside of the house, too?
Right.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
that's not open to the public, but I do have invited guests that are able to enjoy it.
Okay. So what's the story behind Deacon Dave's?
The story behind Deacon Dave, as to which?
How did it get started?
Well, it was the year I was ordained. I wanted to do something beyond decorating the church. For a while, I did that, and it was like some people, you know, either liked the decorations or some thought it was too much, and so I thought, well, I'm going to decorate my yard and home and then open it up to people of all walks of life. And that was the main reason as a gift to the community.
How many years have you been doing this?
27.
Wow. Have you ever wanted to just like not do it one year?
No, I've never even thought of that, although it's the weirdest thing because every year someone comes up and said, gee, I hear this is Deacon Dave's last year doing it, and I don't know where they get the rumors, but no.
Would you ever like consider just like passing it off to someone else?
Thoughts never entered my mind at this point.
Yeah. No competitors.
Well, I don't believe in that word competitor in the Christmas sense. The more people that decorate, the better. It gives a greater opportunity for people to enjoy the season. And so I'd be thrilled if people came up with a bigger and better display. Doesn't mean I would end my display, but it just means that there is more for people to enjoy.
Yeah, that's true. Not many people decorate anymore. It's really disappointing.
Yeah.
If you could sum up this experience in one word, what would it be?
This year?
Sure, this year and the whole thing.
In one word, oh boy, I would hope. I think
Hope.
Hope for the future. Hope for peace. Hope for certainly world peace. Hope for a greater understanding among the cultures.
Okay. Now, this display gets bigger and bigger every year. How does that happen?
Well, let me correct that statement, because I can't say that it gets bigger and bigger. There's only so many feet in here to build. Bigger and bigger would be like the light. The light count increases every year. The theme varies, so it may be a two-story building that people enter under one year, or the next year it might be a one-story building. I mean, the themes do change, but I can't really say that it gets bigger and bigger. I mean, you've only got so many square feet to operate in the front yard.
Now, you said you only have so many feet. How many people are actually working here?
15 volunteers, roughly.
Oh, okay. And then did they, like, come
15 to
to
20.
you and say, like, hey, can I work for you, or?
Right. Jeanie Haigh and David Haigh are my right and left hands. There's a planning team. Rod Hollister is on it, and Keith and Michelle Jess, John Bliss, Paula Warner, and certainly David and Jeanie Haigh. So that would be the main planning team. I set the theme, usually with a few key components. Basically what I do is, a few weeks ago we invited all the volunteers in for their thank you dinner. I swore them to secrecy and then announced what next year's theme is. So there's some of the basic elements, and then we meet throughout the year developing that so that they too have some ownership. I always keep that papal veto, I guess, because but they'll come up with a suggestion and say, hey, how about this, and so then they have some ownership in this too.
So the process from, like, the beginning to the end, it's all year round, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. And what's that like?
Well, I mean, usually in the first quarter of the year, I'll be meeting with two of the major planners, and then in the summer we have a summer social here where we go over and start assigning the tasks. There's meetings in between, different division meetings, and sometimes signs are being made off-site and brought in, and then again in September 1 is when we actually start the building.
Okay.
Same with the inside, we start September 1st.
Okay. So it takes about a few months to
goes from
set it all
September
up?
1st until the first Friday of December, when the people gather in the dark in front of the darkened property when the streets are closed, and they're waiting for the big candlelight procession to come down Hillcrest Avenue that has the flags of the nation, Livermore High School choir, the Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts. It's a long procession. The big giant white dove kites fly in the night sky, Christmas colorful banners, that type thing, and then we have the opening ceremonies. The mayor is here. And then I read from the book of Genesis, and in the particular part when the Lord God said, let there be light, that's the cue that all of the lights go on. And then we have the blessing of the lights.
Okay. Now that's the opening ceremony. What's the closing ceremony like?
Closing ceremony is kind of sad. In fact, my mom said that she doesn't like to come to the closing ceremony. It's New Year's Day night. Normally the music that plays, the Christmas music, will be turned off at 8:30 in the evening. At 9 o'clock, the recorded bells of Cologne start sounding, the chimes. and then followed by a recorded German choir singing Silent Night. The flags are very slowly lowered and the lights slowly go out. Mm-hmm. There's one candle left that we hold in the driveway, and so everything is pitch black except for this little candle, and then I do a very short prayer asking God's blessing of people of all faith who walk through the gates of the House of the Dove. Candles extinguished, and then that candle leads the procession next year.
Okay. And you said that the mayor comes.
Yes.
What's the relationship like between you and the city?
Very good, I think. I mean, we have a good working relationship. The mayor has been on hand quite a few years. The vice mayor has been here. The police chief has been on the stage with us, and one of the fire chiefs have been here. So it's been a good relationship.
Do you run into any regulation problems?
No, they really, the city doesn't really regulate Christmas displays. At least this is what they told me.
Oh, okay.
They certainly want to make sure that they're safe, but then the team is composed, of engineers, of carpenters, of electricians, and so we would never have a display that's not safe. And it's like when we close the display down at night, there's no power to any of the buildings for any because of fire safety reasons.
Okay. And then your neighbors, what do they think about this?
I haven't asked, but they usually send over cookies and pies and different things. So, and some of them will ask, when's the opening, because they want to plan their dinner around it so that people have dinner and then come out and watch the procession come by. So,
sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you had really good feedback from people who come?
Yes, yes. And it's such a huge, there's a big gap in the comments. I mean, you've got some that have a religious experience. You have others that it's just been very joyful for them and for the families. Some have said they make it a pilgrimage every year to come here. One night in particular, some years back, the fog had come in early, and it was a thick fog, and so there was no one in the yard. And I came out, and I thought I heard somebody crying, and so I went onto the bridge, Proposal Bridge, and there was a young lady there. She was holding the rail, and I asked if she was all right, and she said, "Oh, Reverend Deacon, these are happy tears." She said, "My husband and I loved coming here, and he was killed 6 months ago in an auto accident." And, so I gave her a blessing and a hug and left her, with her happy thoughts. Someone else knocked at the door, and they were holding this child and said, "Don't you remember us?" And I frankly didn't, and I said, "Gee, I'm sorry." And they said, "Well, this is the baby you blessed, and we asked you to bless last year, and had only had 6 months to live, and all of the cancer's completely gone. You cured the baby." And I said, "Oh, no. He says, "No, I didn't cure any baby. I said if there was something special, it was by higher powers than me." Mm-hmm. Well, the next 500 people in line heard it, and they all wanted a blessing. So, I mean, there's a big variety of things, that go on.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, it is. We had a man ring the doorbell a couple of years ago. Brought a whole bunch of people from Fremont, and he says, "Deacon, where are the angels that are above the house, and that were here the other night?" And I went, you must mean the dove that's up there." Mm-hmm. And he says, no, there were angels up there. And I said, "Well, what's up there is the dove, no angels." Mm-hmm. And he swore that he saw something up there, so, God bless him, I didn't.
What are some of the past themes? Because this year it's
last
Christmas
year was North Pole Industries, so the whole theme primarily elves, workshops. We had a big windmill out in the front, and there were big cables and that went around, and so that was pretty much the entire theme. City of Bethlehem, I think a lot of people say they like that. That had giant Roman towers that you came under into the little town of Bethlehem, and all of the shops. You know, there was Jehoshaphat's candle and oil shop, and so there were all of the different shops. Abe's used Camelot, and so we have a lot of fun with the different themes too.
Mm-hmm. Now the modules are pretty complicated. Do some of them ever break down during?
No, this year's been an exceptional year in that we didn't have any major breakdowns. I know the ice skaters one evening didn't go on, but we were able to solve that fairly fast. Some years we do have breakdowns that do take a day or two for us to get back on track. Mm-hmm. Then there are other times when we've had severe windstorms, and one went through about 15 years ago that we had elves skiing on the roof, and we had yards and yards of cotton batting. To this day, we have no idea where it went or whose yard it ended up in, but no one ever admitted that. And the display was closed after that storm, I think, for 4 nights because of the damages and the lights that had fallen and some of the buildings that were even damaged. But I would think in looking back that wind has been one of the greatest enemies of the display. Mm-hmm. Rain doesn't seem to bother us, and over the years you learn, and so we tell the light crew to try to lace the lights on the tree so that if we get wind, it'll ride with the branches. Mm-hmm. The particular windstorm that hit 15 years ago was a crosswind that twisted and it shredded a lot of the lights.
How do you get some of the higher lights up?
What we do is we have a 12-foot ladder. We have someone hold the bottom of the 12-foot ladder, send one poor soul up to the top with another 12-foot pole. And they do that on top of the house also. So, and as a matter of fact, last year they were up on the ladder hanging the lights, and there were 2 young raccoons rolling around the roof underneath them. So they had entertainment, I guess.
Oh no. Now, do you ever have any accidents with the workers? Are they insured?
Under the homeowners covers it.
Okay.
And I have increased the homeowners to cover this, but no, there hasn't been any major accidents.
Okay. How much does your power bill go up?
I never tell a soul.
Never tell?
I make sure that I'm sitting down when I get the bill because it is big. And sure. If anyone really, truly wants to find out, I'll trade them their PG&E bill for mine, and they'll know what mine is, but I haven't had any takers yet.
Okay. I'll save up maybe next year.
You better save a lot.
Oh, yeah. So, what's your favorite theme bin?
I don't have a favorite. Mm-hmm. Because each one is so unique and so different. And that is a question that people ask me all the time, what's your favorite theme? And everyone is different. I think probably one of the most misunderstood would be A Christmas Carol, because I was surprised at the number of people that didn't know the story, A Christmas Carol. And that theme was really complicated. I mean, we had a bedroom scene of Scrooge in bed with his wrinkled up face in bed. The lights would go out, the wall would turn, and then the ghost was there when the lights came back on. Cool. So there was a lot of unique things. But it was surprising the number of people that said, well, what's the Christmas Carol? I think now with the new movie that came out over this past year that they get to know it better.
Mm-hmm. If you could go back and redo any theme, which would you do?
I don't know. I don't think I would, because again, they're so different. In looking at them and going backwards and forwards and kind of looking around, it's like, some do stand out. A Storybook Christmas certainly was very colorful. We had a castle with the drawbridge, Cinderella's castle that people walked in. We had Snow White's castle. She was asleep on a bed of poinsettias, and then Prince Charming was bending down to kiss her, to awaken her. That was very romantic, that particular theme. But I don't know that I'd repeat it, but you might expand it and have storybook part 2 and then include some other aspects of it. Christmas Around the World was certainly very powerful, with a huge globe of the world that revolved over the people's heads as they walked in, and then you visited 5 countries. We had visitors from Russia that some people at the lab brought here because they wanted to specifically have a picture in front of the Russian exhibit so that they can send it home.
How do you come up with the themes?
Oh, in this little head here.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will suggest things, and then I'll start mulling it around and say, you know, that's not a bad idea, but I want to, maybe I'll give it a different twist. But no, I do listen to people that come up with themes. Mm-hmm. And in fact, today I was at a restaurant and someone gave me a theme today, and it was more like a rock and roll Christmas, and I had to be honest with them and say, well, I'm really not into that type of a theme.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Now the modules. If you had no budget, no restrictions, nothing, what would your dream module be?
Well, I think we improve the modules as we go along. The module buildings, the long one in the driveway, it was a great idea to go module. That means it's going to go up faster. Mm-hmm. John Bliss came up with I think it was John Bliss that came up with the idea that, maybe it was Rod, anyway, to put in plugs already installed, and I think they're going to do that before they take it down. The modules are numbered, so there's certain buildings that, as long as we're going to have them in those locations, we may as well put up the same building. The one here in front of the gazebo that we're near, that's not modularized because the front changes every year, but there are some that are, and it makes it easier. Probably less time in getting them up. It's the inside then that we change. The front building is never modularized because that whole planning structure changes from year to year.
Now, in one of the modules, you have people throw money to donate to a charity. Which charity does that go to?
That's Santa's Secret Service. I'm the Secretary General of the organization. The head of the organization is called the Arch Santa. He's the only one of the Santas of that organization that dress in the robes of St. Nicholas and the bishop's mitre and crozier. All of the other Santas dress in the American Santa attire that we're used to seeing. The organization has, in 50 years, they celebrated their 50th anniversary this year, and they've given out over 1 million Christmas gifts to hospitals, rest homes, veterans home, hospital, to group youth homes, the homeless, shut-ins, all the way down into the Fremont area, in the Holy Family Infirmary, and the Dominican St. Martin's Infirmary.
Mm-hmm. Has this display helped you branch off into any other charities, or do you just do that one?
No, we do pretty much that because the money helps us now year-round. Whenever we have a specific need, we're able to use the monies for that or for the gifts. It was started at St. Michael's Church and is still rooted there, but there are many volunteers from other faiths that assist in this.
Mm-hmm. Now, before I forget to ask, the red jackets, how do your workers get them?
The coveted red jacket. We've had people that want to buy these jackets, and and they're not available. Mm-hmm. If somebody has volunteered a good number of hours for 3 years, then they're awarded this jacket. If you work 1 year, then like one Christmas, then we give them the red hat with the symbol of the House of the Dove, which would have the white dove on it. Mm-hmm. But we had 3 jackets awarded this year, and so depending upon some of the evenings, the volunteers are here in their red jackets assisting, welcoming people, and also performing security duties and assisting if someone needs to use a restroom, taking them to the restroom.
What's security like here It's pretty tight, right?
It is. Security is very tight. There are security cameras everywhere, and some seen, some not seen. And we do have the black wrought iron fence that goes across the front of the property. It's well lit here even at night when everything is out. There are security patrols that come by. The Livermore police are very good also at coming by. So, I mean, there's alarms and whistles and buzzers and everything. So,
So, okay, now besides the red jacket, how else do you commend your volunteers? I know you have an award ceremony.
There is the award ceremony. There's one that is rather humorous, and that's the Cole Award. And usually, because working together, you get to know everyone, and there's sometimes little pranks that go on, and so I just keep that in the back of my mind, and then as we get closer, then I give the Cole Award for the person that perhaps scored the highest on that, or maybe the lowest, maybe that's it. But we have the Star Award, and that's somebody who's really, you know, put in a lot of hours. We have the Dove Award for somebody who's really put in a lot of the engineering, mechanical, that type thing. So, and then there's the Founders Award, and usually we will go back to somebody who in the early days, maybe they're no longer with us, but in those early days helped me build those displays. And so we've been doing that now too, where they'll receive a special recognition and an award.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me about some of the pranks?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, one time I was walking by, we weren't open yet, but I'm walking by, and we had garland in one of the buildings, and I happened to get something kind of sparkly, and out of the corner of my eye I looked, and there were empty Coors beer cans hanging from them.
Oh.
Another time there was a sign on the window that said private tours in the backyard, present your Visa and MasterCards, and little things like that.
Isn't your backyard like huge? Like, you have your own private church, right? Back there?
Well, I wouldn't say church, but it's the Chapel of the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
It's amazing because this is, you know, we're surrounded by tract homes, and the property belonged to my grandmother. She owned out to the middle of Hillcrest, and she had some surrounding acreage, and then she sold that off, but she wanted to keep enough of the property for the animals that I had. And so when the city requested annexation, it was on the condition that the animals that are here are grandfathered in. So basically, some of the city officials, they've said this is the littlest, biggest bird farm in Livermore, because they wouldn't, in a normal home, they wouldn't allow the number of animals that are here, because there's pheasant, quail, show pigeons, 150 doves, there's winding paths in the backyard. Property goes back, it's over a half acre, but under an acre. So there's meditation gardens, and the backyard, the whole back area, the gardens are treated kind of like a cloistered garden. The public doesn't go back, and it's off limits. And there is the Chapel of the Holy Spirit, which is a very beautiful chapel in the back.
So, to people who want to come, what are the hours for the display?
The display opens nightly at 6 p.m. and Sunday night through Thursday night closes at 9:30. Friday, Saturday night closes at 10:30, and Christmas night it opens a half hour later and closes a half hour earlier. Primarily, it allows me to be with my family, either here, you know, to celebrate. It gives me a little more time to get the lights on.
Do you guys have a website? How do you get the word out?
Primarily, I think by either people that I know a lot of people have called the Chamber of Commerce, Livermore Chamber of Commerce, and they give them the website. It's casadelpomba.com, all one word, casadelpomba.com. By the way, Casa del Pomba is Portuguese for House of the Dove. A little more romantic, I think, in Spanish, La Paloma, Casa La Paloma, but no, that's Portuguese. And my heritage is Portuguese.
Okay.
4 generations ago, my ancestors came from the Azores.
Wow. So, do you have any advice for someone trying to do their own Christmas display?
Well, I'm always open to talk to somebody about their display. The advice that I have is that you really have to be into it. You really have to put your heart and soul into it, and the more volunteers that you have, the easier it's going to be. And of course, you have to be careful not to overload the electrical circuits. Over the years, we've grown, and until a couple of years ago, PG&E had mentioned that the industrial transformer that they installed a few years ago across the street was, to their knowledge, the only industrial transformer in a residential area. They were afraid I was going to turn my lights on one year and that the neighbors would all dim. So everyone shares in that. So it's not just my industrial transformer.
And if somebody wanted to come help out, could they just
They can contact the website. It would say to contact Jeanie Haigh, and she would organize all of that.
Okay. Thank you. Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It's been a joy to do this, and it's always a lot of fun to meet people. I try to step out on the porch on occasion and greet them, and on occasion give them one of our famous bookmarks that we have for the year. It lists the theme, and it also has a special prayer in the back for that particular year. And certainly anyone that might be viewing this, we wish them certainly the blessings of God, no matter what faith they are.
Okay.
So Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
You too. I look forward to next year's display.
Yes, thank you.